What is up guys and welcome back to my second channel. My name is Nouman and today's video is going to be about the 4-3-3 formation, how to properly use it, what are the different strengths and weaknesses of this formation, and what kind of players you need to play this formation. The 4-3-3 formation is one of the most popular and successful formations in the game of football. And as we discussed in the last video, Evolution of Football, the 4-3-3 formation was actually a development of the 4-2-4 formation, and it was first used by the Brazilian national team in the 1962 World Cup. So these are some of the different ways of using a 4-3-3 formation. Flat midfield, triangle with one defensive and two attacking midfielders, inverted triangle with two defensive and one attacking midfielder. The question of which shape to use mostly depends on the players that you have in your team. We will talk more about these types of players later in the video or in the next videos. So most of the content that we are going to discuss in this video will be against a 4-4-2 formation. In the future, we will hopefully try to add more formations as well. Now let's say we are trying to build our play from the back. As a defensive unit, which is the blue team in this case, in a 4-4-2 formation, your primary job is to always stop the forward passing options and force the opponents into making a mistake. And as the attacking unit, which is the red team in a 4-3-3 formation, your primary job is to create the passing lanes to move the ball into the opponent's half. So how are we going to do this? Let's say our left back has the ball. In order to stop the left back from playing a forward pass, 07 will move up to press the left back. When 07 moves up to press the left back, 09 now has two options. He can either drop back to cover the forward passing option to the midfielder, or he can move up to press the centre back to cut the back pass to the centre back. If 09 decides to move up to press the centre back, the left back can easily play the ball to the midfielder, and you can build your play with quick one-touch passing. In this case, the left midfielder has his back towards the goal, and he is also being pressed by 06. So he doesn't have enough time and space, and this is why he should be able to play one-touch passes to move the ball for his team. And similarly, the defensive midfielder or the playmaker should also have the ability to play quick one-touch passes to release the ball when under pressure. If 09 decides to drop back to cover the forward passing option, then our left back only has one passing option available to him. He can play the ball to the left centre back. Now just like 09, 010 again has a decision to make. He can either cover the defensive midfielder or he can move up to press the centre back. If 010 decides to cover the centre back, the left centre back can easily play the ball to the defensive midfielder. And if 010 decides to cover the defensive midfielder, then the centre back can play the ball to the other centre back, who can now play the ball to the midfielder. And we can again build the play with quick one-touch passing. Now let's try to discuss the third scenario. 010 moves to cover the defensive midfielder and 011 immediately moves in to cut the passing lane from the centre back to the midfielder. Now the centre back can play the ball to the full back. The winger can drop deep to receive the ball from his full back, and as the winger drops deep, he can force the opposition full back out of his position to create the space in the defense. This open space can either be exploited by the striker or by the midfielder. And this is why you need players who are mentally and physically active. And you also need players who have good technical abilities to play quick one-touch passes to avoid the pressure and move the ball forward for your team. In the modern day football, having a good ball-playing goalkeeper is also very important, especially if you want to build the play from the back. There are times when the opponents press you high up the ground as a team, forcing you into situations when the short passing options are not available. And this is where a ball-playing goalkeeper comes into play. Now in this case, 010 is pressing the goalkeeper from the left side, and he is cutting the passing lane to the right centre back. 09 is covering the defensive midfielder, with 011 and 07 the two positional diagonals between the centre back and the full back. If the goalkeeper decides to play the ball to the left centre back, 07 will move up to press the centre back. And then the centre back will have no short passing options available to him, as 010 will cover the goalkeeper, 09 on the defensive midfielder, 06 on the left midfielder, and the centre back is now in trouble. And this is where the goalkeeper's ball-playing skills come into play. Since 07 is the positional diagonal, so he's not covering the long passing option to the fullback. If the goalkeeper can pick his winger or the fullback through a long pass, you will have an immediate 2v1 advantage against the opposition fullback. And this is why even when you are trying to build the play from the back, you don't always have to play short passes. Your goalkeeper and your centre backs should have the vision and the ability to read the situation and play the right pass at the right time. When playing against a 4-4-2 formation, you will always have a man advantage in the midfield. So one of your midfielders, mostly the deep line playmaker, will always have the chance to receive the ball from his defense. In order to counter this man advantage, there is a possibility that one of the white players can drop in the midfield to cover one of our midfielders. And this way, they can neutralize the numbers advantage in the midfield. When this happens, you still have a few options to build your play. Since the right back is still covered by O11, so one of the options is that your centre back can now easily pick the left back. But most likely, O9 will move in between the centre back and the full back to cut the passing lane to the full back. Now in this situation, the left back can actually drop in the defense to make a back 3. And the defensive midfielder can move up, taking the respective opposition player with him. The back 3 will split the front 2, and the higher position of the defensive midfielder will create a hole in the middle of the ground. And this is where you need a centre back who is confident with the ball at his feet and who can easily step out in the space to pick his front players. RB Leipzig did this very effectively in the Champions League this season against Tottenham, when Ethan M2 often stepped into the midfield with the ball, and he dictated the tempo of the game. One other option is that the right winger can drop deep, forcing the fullback out of his position, and then the right back can play a long pass behind the fullback for the run of the right central midfielder. Another option is that the right winger can drop deep, forcing the fullback out. The midfielder can then occupy the space which was left open by the fullback, and the striker can drop deep in the midfield to receive the ball directly from his fullback. The flexibility of these three central midfielders is very important in creating space and in maintaining a secure shape. Most of these build-up patterns are actually practiced in the training ground. However, not everything can be taught in the practice, and this is why the intelligence and technical abilities of the players are also very important. So these were some of the exercises that we can actually perform in the training ground to build our play from the back. Now let's talk about pressing in a 4-3-3 formation. So first of all, when you start the high press, your striker is actually going to decide the direction of the opponent's play. If the striker decides to press the goalkeeper from the left side, the opponents will start their build-up towards the right side. If the striker decides to press the goalkeeper from the right side, the opponents will build their play towards the left side. Once the striker has decided from which side to press, the entire team has to adjust accordingly and respond as a unit. So the striker will initiate the high press by pressing the goalkeeper, the midfielders will press the two centre-backs, the wingers can either press the fullback or they can move in to cover the midfielder who has come across. The defensive midfielder normally covers whoever presses from the midfield. The number 9 starts the high press and is forcing the goalkeeper to build their play towards the right side, and the entire team adjusts accordingly. The goalkeeper plays the ball to the centre-back, and the left central midfielder immediately moves up to press the centre-back. The right central midfielder, the defensive midfielder, and the right winger adjust their positions accordingly to provide cover to the advanced midfielder. The left-sided passing options are now blocked, and the centre-back is now forced to play the ball to his fullback. The ball goes to the fullback, and the left winger immediately moves up to press the fullback, with the defensive midfielder providing cover to his winger. The right central midfielder can cover the nearest midfield option, and now all the nearby passing options of the man in possession are well blocked. And this is your main objective when you press your opponents. You want to limit their passing options and force them into making a mistake. And similarly, if the striker moves to press from the right side, the team will again adjust their position accordingly. So that was all from today's video. In the next video, we will hopefully discuss the offensive and defensive play of this formation. Thank you so much guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.